I should hate men. I should hate them. The shit I've had happen to me in my life
because of men.
I should hate them.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I think it's just from from dad stuff. You know, my dad drank himself to death when I was 16. You know, I hated him for a long time because of that. Because I used to get his drink for him, so I felt guilty about that.
Yeah,
I had to let that go, which I have, and I love. And it's funny, I had a conversation with a friend of mine last night, and I said, and this shocked them. I said, I'm glad my dad's dead. I'm glad he died when he did. And they felt bad for me, and I went, you don't understand. And I had to explain, like, if I was married now, I am.
Are you sure this isn't just perception, James?
If I wasn't married to my wife, no. If my dad was alive now, my marriage would be a nightmare.
Right.
Because my dad was unfortunately a very manipulative man.
Really?
Yeah, but he was alcoholic.
Well, he was alcoholic, yeah.
But he was just very manipulative.
How would it interfere with the marriage?
He would have put so much on Bev.
Right.
And Bev's so kind and so loving. She'd have done everything for him. And she wouldn't have told me. And then I'd have found out and I'd have been pissed.
Yeah.
So it would have undercut everything. And even now I can see it.
Have you said that to her?
Yeah, we've talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Does she agree that she would have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She'd fucking love to meet she'd do anything for my dad. She'd do anything for my mum. She'd do anything for my stepdad. That's how she is.
Yeah.
She's an amazing woman.
Yeah.
She would have all day long done whatever for my dad. And he'd have had a wrap around his little finger.
Yeah.
But because he was a wounded little boy. So that was my thing. I said that last night, and it sounds harsh to say I'm glad my dad's dead.
No, but I hear you.
But I would only want him here if he was
the
man he knew he could be.
Also, he was obviously suffering immensely.
Mate, listen, I didn't realise why I did Unguarded. I thought Unguarded Warrior was because I couldn't find anywhere that could heal me. So with all the things I wanted to do in one package, so I started my own thing. That's why I did it.
It's often the way.
Yeah, but actually, when something happened, so one of the guys came on the retreat, and he did the retreat, and it changed his life so much. He went back, saw his children. He's not with his wife, his mother of his children. And his son said it's like having my old dad back, and his son's 14.
Wow.
So I was like, and I cried. He sent me the message, and I cried my eyes out because that made, and then I realised why I did Unguarded Warriors, because I didn't want another 16-year-old to go through what I went through. Yes. Because my dad was in so much pain. He had nowhere to go. He had no outlet apart from the pub and drink. So what was he, and I don't know, and I even spoke to my auntie recently about it. I said, what, did something happen? Like, because my mum told me that my dad never spoke about his childhood. Right. But my auntie said, no, it was great. But that's one
perception. You just don't know, do you, with families? Because there's a lot of things in the cupboard, in the closet.
Don't know what happened to him. Anyway, so
it's hard though.
So
that's
the man. So that started the man.
What's your instinct though? Because just staying on your dad for a second, because in a way, your dad gave you a gift by leaving, massive. Because now you're able to use that pain and to try and heal the generational traumas in other men that are coming to that retreat. So by your dad leaving,
my dad.
He's enabled that process.
He's given me the best gift. I love my dad. I love what he gave me. I love that he showed me how he taught me more. I didn't know at the time, but he taught me more how to not be than he did to be. If that makes sense.
I hear that.
But he taught me He taught me the best ever thing. The best one-line thing I've ever known is there's 3 sides to every story: yours, mine, and the truth.
Yeah. And you use that a lot in various ways. Lot,
yeah. And I've added on to it. There's many truths. Yeah. And it's a grey area in between that and that. And that's, and I think it is. And I'm not into, and like some people could argue, I suppose, if I sat down with a psychologist or a psychiatrist or whatever, they could go, well, you're actually flip-flopping between two things because you're not sure of who you are or whatever that bollocks is.
Yeah, but even as a psychotherapist, which is slightly different to psychology, I would say that's not true, because I would say that, so I'm just going to give a little bit of reasoning to what I'm saying. the book that I mentioned earlier, the guy that's coming on, Richard Tyler.
I can't wait for that
I'm
episode.
I'm going to send you that book before
Please,
it comes
thank
out.
you, yeah.
And he has gone through terminal illness. He's still on paper terminally ill, but living his life. And
by the way, just to interrupt, talk about living his life.
I know we haven't even introduced Zane, have we? How on earth have we ignored the fact that Zane is in the shop?
No, guys, this is my dog Zane. He's living.
It
his
is a dog's
absolute
life.
best life. Sitting, we don't have rugs at home,
Oh.
so we've got all hard floor at home. So he's only got his bed. But when he gets a rug, he's like happy days.
Oh, I didn't know. That's why he was so happy. When I sat on this chair and he was coming over to me, it's like he was saying thank you.
He loves
I thought it was me. It's actually the rug.
It is you.
It's not me. It's the rug.
But anyway, sorry.
As a Kite Falls, this book, okay, which we'll promote on his episode. But the reason I share that, and why am I sharing that?
Because you talked about.
You were talking about your dad.
Yeah.
And you were talking about something else after that.
And then you talked living his best life. You said something about living his life.
I cannot remember. That's going to come back to me.
Yeah, it will.
This is podcast for you.
Well, this is it, and it's like I do all the time. You start on a story, but that's because I interrupted you and talked about him living his best life.
No, because you didn't actually. I think as I started to say about Richard, I ended up forgetting what I was going to say anyway.
You were talking about quantifying what I was saying about. You were saying quantifying about the psychiatrist thing.
Yes, there you go. That's it. Well, bloody done. Thank you, James.
I've got a brain.
You have got a brain.
Praise be to all of the gods.
So
you have to cut that one out.
No, I'm keeping it in.
Yeah,
I'm keeping it in.
Yeah,
it's got to be.
It's all got to be in.
It's all got to be in.
There's no
faffing. No, we're not pretending.
No.
We're both as mad as each other.
Listen.
This is how it is. So you were talking about psychologists, and he is a psychotherapist.
Oh, okay.
And he offered a very famous psychotherapist to do a blurb on his book. And she said, I won't mention the name. She said, I'm not going to do it because there isn't a how-to. So basically, there's not a fix in the book. And when I read it as a psychotherapist, I felt profoundly seen and held, as though he was talking to me. I mean, we've talked a lot since I've read the book because he's coming on the podcast, but I hadn't spoken to him at all at that point. I'd only spoken to his people that were arranging the podcast. I genuinely felt like, how am I being seen in this story about this man's terminal illness, which has got nothing to do with me? He made me feel, and I needed to see it at that point. And I was surrounded by people on a train and nothing distracted me. Like, it just felt like we were having this intimate dance during this book. So in terms of quantifying truth, fact, and all of those things, in psychotherapy, we say your experience is your experience and that your truth is your truth. And that can exist with someone else's truth. In fact, there's never just one clear-cut answer. Yeah. Science will tell you that as well.
That doesn't mean it's the truth.
Yeah, because you're as what I said earlier, you could have a scientific study, 99.99999, and then somebody else go, but actually...
Yeah, and we could be sitting here now having this conversation, have 50 people either side of us.
Yeah.
And all 50 would have different opinions on what was said.
Correct.
And who was the good person, who was the bad person.
Yeah, and we're not even saying we're Bible here.
Exactly.
We're not trying to say this is fact. We're saying this is what we know from our experiences.
Well, I'm even going, this is what I think.
Yes, this is what I think from my experiences.
This is what I think, but I'm also very... And here's my thing. I've been... and again, I could be over-egging this, but I've been a fucker, okay? Like, in my mind... I've been not a good person. I've done all the things that if you write down a list of what bad things people do, I've probably done all of them.
Yeah. Except murder?
Except murder.
Unless it's an insect, which was accidental.
Yeah.
Manslaughter.
Yeah. Well, but I've been close to, really
tipping over the edge.
Tipping over the edge. It was a knife's edge. So that's only because I haven't done that. But... So when I think about when someone does something around me or in the public or whatever, I always ask the question, is that the truth?
Very good question.
And even as far as to go, when I got called up for jury service and I was devastated. I mean, like, honestly, I was so devastated. I was like, this is fucking awful. I went and did it, and luckily if you can go in and then they call your name out, and then they just sent us home, and that was it. It was insane. I was like, it was the luckiest thing ever. You can be there for 6 months.
Oh God,
and
I know.
I was like, and I was just, adamant, and I still am to this day, that unless I see it physically,
yes,
with my own eyes, someone killing someone, I'd have to, by the letter of the law, say, yes, they're guilty. But if there's just evidence and all of this stuff, there's no way I'm going to send someone to prison.
It's so hard because there's so many different things that.
And even if someone kills someone, it's not always cut and dry.
No, it's not.
Again, so
you just don't know the full story.
Because everyone would kill someone.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah.
In a certain circumstance.
Oh, I would.
Well, there you go. So
that's
not always cut and dry.
No.
As that. And I know it's wrong, and that's where you then go, okay, well, it's the letter of the law. Okay, we've got to say then. But I'd have to see it with my own eyes.
The thing is, if someone hurt your child, if someone hurt my child, and I would like to think I would practice the pause. But you just don't know. So when I said I would, it's not just because I do it for fun. There would have to be extenuating circumstances. But I just don't know if I could hold back.
I know. And that's where we all are. We're all running around like that. And that's where I'm trying to get with my breathing that I do, as you said, oxygen advantage breathwork coach. And that's about the science and the biomechanical and, all of that of breathing. Powerful. And it's just getting us to take a pause before we do anything.
Yes.
Because then it just sends us into our parasympathetic nervous system. It gets us to rest and digest, not react.
Yes.
That's my big thing, is particularly with men, get us to take a pause, take a breath through the nose, and then do something. And a perfect example, probably 2 years ago, I was turning right into a road, and one of them young kid on a bike, e-bike.
Scooter thing.
Not even a scooter, one of them e-bike things.
Oh, I see. I know what you mean.
But they're really fast, like 40 miles an hour, just absolutely clattered into the side of me. And I straight away felt that fight. I felt that
fight
adrenaline.
Response. Yeah.
I felt it go, and I was like, and then I went, oh no, switch. I went, just calm, breathe. And I went, and I did gentle, and I pulled over, and I did another breath before I got out. And that, 5 years ago, I'd have got out and jumped on that guy's head.
Can I just tell you something? This is so interesting, right? And I don't know. Okay. I don't know if you've got a different mechanism in your brain. I know you said 5 years ago you jump on his head, but I had a car accident once, and if you'd have told me that it wasn't my fault, and he admitted it straight away because it was his fault, but I was.
I'm going to go into that. So let me just go into that fault thing. Right?
Yeah.
Whose fault was it that guy rode into me?
Well, I don't know because I wasn't there.
But he was on the outside, like coming down the road. I was indicating right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whose fault was it?
Well, his on paper.
Right. Me, straight away, I look at what I could have done better. I go inward and go,
me too, yeah.
Did I check my mirrors sufficiently?
Yeah.
Or did I just give them a glance?
Yeah. No, I get that.
So there's things, when I had my motorbike accident years ago, I second guessed myself. I thought someone could pull out of there.
Yes.
And instead of slowing right down, I only slowed half down. So who's culpable in that? Not fault, but who's got culpability in that? Me. When one thing happens and there's two people involved.
Yeah.
No one can't tell me that it's all one person.
Well, it goes back to.
I'm not having it.
No.
I will literally fight anyone to the death about that.
That's a very good point.
I won't really.
Yeah, to the death.
Yeah, literally with like a thong and a knife and like war paint. Like Rambo.
Can I see it if you do it? Because that sounds entertaining.
You might get some bile in your mouth if you saw me naked, but it's fine.
I mean, it sounds like fun.
Yeah.
No, but you're right, because we were talking earlier, and we were talking about the way memories are held in the brain, and we were saying that we remember a memory from the last time we recalled it. That's a clinical fact, but also we remember it from the perception that we were at the time. So the age, the place, the mood,
the emotion.
Yeah, it becomes like gossip because it changes ever so slightly every single time. And then if you put into effect this, so the guy that drove into me was on substances. And so when you said you immediately thought, is this my fault?
I don't think that. I just go, what's my part in this?
Well, no, but exactly that.
Fault. Yeah, because
that's just my language.
Yeah.
I apologise.
No.
No, but it's important because you did make that clear.
Yeah.
I will tell you that I'd only been driving for a month at that point. So I wasn't as experienced. And I assumed, because it was his place to stop, that he would stop.
Great. Assumption.
Another
motherfucker.
Yeah. If I'd have been more experienced like I am now, I'd be
held back.
Yeah, because So that's important that you said that, and that's why I wanted to say that bit, because you reminded me to put that bit in the story.
But if all we do is, and I was talking to someone today about this I was talking to Raven again. If all we do, so this is a classic example, right? Your little Johnny comes home from school. Dad, so-and-so said this to me and, blah, blah, blah. Little shit.
Yeah.
Right, go back to school and punch him in the mouth, yeah? Right.
Yeah.
Or, Dad, so-and-so said this to me. Okay, so let's sit down. What exactly happened? Okay, so what did you say to him? Exactly. What did you say to him, Johnny?
Yeah, I love it.
Does anyone do that anymore?
I remember
very few.
And I remember a friend of mine saying this to me about Lila. And Lila was having problems with one of her friends. And she said, just show care. Like, oh, that must have been really difficult for you. Oh, I'm sorry you felt that way. Tell me what happened just before.
Yeah.
And she gave me that tip because I was like, I can't believe this little girl is doing this.
We go back to my dad's best thing.
Yes.
3 sides to every story. Yours, mine, the truth.
The truth. And you're right.
Can't
it's really
believe
important.
Kids either, because they're not. I'm not saying they're lying, but fuck me, I used to make a lot of shit up.
Well, and also, they can't analyse information.
Exactly.
They haven't got the ability because their prefrontal cortex isn't developed.
There you go.
They can't make decisions. They can't be logical. They can't analyse. We have to give that to them. But
So
we're
why
stuck
are we asking them what they want to wear and what they want to eat?
Yeah.
At fucking 2 years old then.
Well, yeah. We are still in our inner child for most of the time. So we have to take that pause, take that breath, as you were saying there, and we have to remind ourselves to go into the wise mind thinking, even if we can only maintain that for 5 minutes, because that's the gift you give to the child.
This is why I didn't have children.
Because you weren't ready.
Because I didn't think I could manage my emotions and responses.
Yeah, that's really powerful though.
To the place that I thought they would be, and mine is, I was mentally hard on myself. No word of a lie, but I'm glad I didn't now, because it would have been the wrong thing to do.
Well, also you're parenting loads of different inner children.
Yeah, I suppose.
You are a parent. We're all parents as adults. It's just how you choose to view that.
And I've got nothing but love for every human being. Even people who've wronged me, whatever that means. Because I'm very funny about that as well.
Well, that goes back to the men. That goes back to, we spoke about your dad, and then obviously you said,
and my brother.
My
brother was he's the man. And again, I'm not knocking my brother, because he's got his own wounds and he's going through his own stuff. But when we were young, he was a real bad name caller.
Right.
So, and I got the brunt of that.
Yeah.
And that's what gave me a lot of my feelings of not enoughness.
Yes. Brothers can do that.
Yeah, but he was like my idol, and that's the thing. And that's why, I think that's why it hurts so much. And then, other things have gone on over the years and stuff. And but that's life. I've got nothing but love for my brother and sister. But I always joke that I've got an amazing relationship with my brother and sister, as long as I don't see or speak to them.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel like that. I'm not saying anything.
But you know what? I'm like, but if I see him, I'll just let it all go. I haven't got an issue, but they're just not like...
They're just not on the same level.
They're just not my people.
No, I get it.
And again,
just because
I'm not going to hang out with people that aren't my people.
I hear you loud and clear.
Because, do you know why? Because I can't manage my emotions and responses around them.
You have to be in the best place for you, which means removing.
I have to remove myself from it. And maybe I've got more work to do on that, but I'm not going to put myself in a position where I know... But, okay, now let's go into where my mind goes straight away. But am I just perpetuating my thoughts and my actions?
You are so much like me.
This is what scares me. Every time I say something, I go, well, hold on. Is that the truth, or am I perpetuating what I'm saying, and I'm manifesting it by keep saying, oh, I can't do this, or I won't do that, or I shouldn't. You know what I mean?
I love that.
Every time I start to do that, I go, hold on a minute, is that just another story?
I totally love that, because I feel that's a similar thing that I do. There are times, I said to you earlier, hormonally, where I cannot do that as well. And it does take a bit longer for me to realise that I'm being an asshole.
100%.
Because my pain overrides my rational.
I know.
And that is also something that I have to be comfortable with, otherwise I'll never move through it.
I know.
There is the monster inside still. I don't like to admit it, but it's there.
No, but I'm fucking not going to tell you how, because you know more. But
I don't know more.
Well, I believe we have to accept the maniac inside.
Yeah, we do.
Know that he or she is in there. Know that we have the strength. Every single person out there listening or watching, you have the strength to lift a car off your child.
Yeah. In
a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But that strength doesn't have to come out when your husband or wife says something that triggers you.
Yes, that's right.
Take a breath and think, am I safe here? If you're not, remove yourself from the situation.
Every time.
If you're really not safe, then remove yourself. But ask yourself, why am I still here if I'm not feeling safe?
What you've just said there reminds me of something I said to someone yesterday in clinic, which is, no one triggers you. What happens is, we often say this, you made me feel, and I've done it myself, so I'm not an innocent party here.
Likewise.
But no one triggers us. What actually happens is this: there is a wound that is open that you haven't looked at or worked on. Someone has said something with no intention to open that wound. They're coming from their own story. We've then blamed them for our pain, and then we've put all of that and projected all of that shit onto them, and then we're creating like dysfunction within a relationship that if we could just step back, pause, be rational, remove ourselves and have that time, work on it, go to see a coach, go to a retreat, go to see a therapist, read a book, listen to a podcast,
just let it go. Stop believing the stories, just let it go. And it takes work, but here's what I'm not going to say: it's not hard. I'm not going to tell you it's hard, because by me saying it's hard, maybe I'm then making it hard.
Yes.
I'm fucking sick of people and me and whatever saying, oh, life's hard. Is it? Or do we make it hard by saying that it's hard?
I agree.
Like, we have to, and I'm going to say have to on this one, stop saying words out of our mouth and in our minds that are limiting us.
Yes.
Because that is the biggest disruptor of life that we're doing to ourselves, and we're all doing it. We're all holding ourselves back from being an abundant, beautiful, free, and that's where I'm the freest I've ever been in my life. And not because I think I've got it all worked out and the stuff that comes out of my mouth is gospel and I'm this, I'm not, I've got the madness inside of me. 2 days ago I fucking said shit to my wife that I didn't do it in the right way. And I upset her. I never shouted at her, I never called her name, but when I come across sometimes I'm too forceful.
Okay.
So
she felt pressured.
She felt, so I was like, and I realise it now straight away, and I go, I'm so sorry. I know, before I wouldn't say I'm sorry, because my wounded little boy would think I was right, because I would okay it. No, well, that's right, because I have to.
Because you're avoiding it. You're avoiding
and also,
that
but
boy.
I have to tell them that no, because this is right, because I believe it.
But that comes from pain.
Of course it does.
But the fact that you can have that, you were saying to me before, not today, but when we met previously, that your wife is that abundant being, that she's around people and they just gravitate towards her and they love her, and she seems to have this centered, grounded, beautiful, magnetic energy. Has that influenced you? Because it'd be impossible not to, I suppose, with 100%. Such an abundant.
She taught me so much about being a man.
Wow.
So much about being. I hated women when I met her. Still.
How did she see?
She saw something in me. She saw something in me she saw what my mum used to see in me.
Was it the boy?
It's the kind little boy.
Yeah.
That's what she saw in me. Bev's the same. She saw the same thing. That's what she sees, and that's what's always been there.
And she's right.
I know she is, and that's one thing I admit. I've always been a kind person, but I got lost. I got badly lost in victim and anger.
Oh,
and I actually feel quite I feel quite emotional about it, because I'm like, I see it everywhere with men.
Yeah.
Because I feel their pain, because I've been there. I've lived it, like in a visceral, like fucking just pain.
I have a friend like that, and to be fair, there's a lot of very complex, and this is from a biological, neurological, a lot of very, very complex mental health issues because of a lot of complex trauma and complex injuries, ex-military, blown up, blown to smithereens, lost an arm, all that sort of stuff.
Can't imagine.
And as a result of that, further surgery. So this has been going on for 15 years, like endless surgeries, endless pain. And so neurologically, biologically, parasympathetic nervous system isn't a thing for him anymore. He's always in sympathetic. He's tried everything, seen every psychiatrist, psychologist, therapist. And yet, that thing you were saying there about the kind little boy and then the pain and the anger and the shame, he's living in that dichotomy. And it's so sad, because he struggled with relationships, he struggled with massively being avoidant, because he's scared of being hurt, you know, and again, it's so hugely complex that every time I'm like, and I've never, I can possibly say this, but look, you know, there's this and you could try that and that. And then I realised that there isn't a fix here. It's a process. There's not a fix, and that's where patience is required. And it's hard. I know you said not to say that, but in those very rare cases,
I know,
it's hard.
It is. And it isn't. And exactly.
I know.
Why is it? Because we're sitting in it. We're sitting. We're in the swamp.
Yeah.
And we can see the way out, but we're just stuck.
Yes, you
and
feel
we're
like being
telling
pulled
ourselves
in.
we're stuck, and we're just sitting there. But it's better to stay stuck, because that seems too far. That seems too arduous.
Yeah.
That seems like, am I going to make it? Like, am I going to make that? But I'm alive here. I'm still alive. And it goes back to what I said about my stepdad's mum.
Yes, you said this earlier. Tell the story.
So I've had a real shift this last, I don't know why. This is the mad thing. I don't know why. There's been some realizations. It's not like I've done any deep work. By the way, I've never seen anyone either.
Yeah,
I've
interesting.
never seen a psychiatrist, psychologist, nothing.
Right.
Therapist, nothing, ever. And I'm not saying good, bad, or whatever. But
no, everyone's different.
I've never seen a drug, to get off drugs or whatever it is. I've always managed to just do it myself. Mm. And that's probably, I don't know, probably because I think I'm fucking better than whatever, or whatever.
I don't know if
maybe
it's that.
There was some ego there, but that got me where I needed to be. And now it's like, and then I work on the ego. Anyway, so my stepdad's mother is 96, cancer ridden, just ill, but literally you could literally drive a truck over and she'd probably still live. She's just like she's like a dung beetle. Honestly, she's like fucking, you just can't kill her.
Are you going to say that in the end?
I will.
Yeah.
And she just said, well, and she sits in a chair all day, don't do anything, don't hardly eat, and just, it's better than being dead though, isn't it?
I mean, that is just...
And I was just like, fuck.
If you get to 96 and you're suffering like that and you say it's better than being dead, then it makes you think, wow.
Right. And I've wanted to not be alive.
So many times.
So now I wake up and I do my little stories. I made it, you made it.
Yeah.
Because I've won. And this is what I want us all to, particularly men. We've won. All of us now. Look at what we're doing. It doesn't matter what you're doing. If everyone just stops now, stop right now and just go, what am I doing right now? Where am I? Like right now in my life. We've won. We've won. If you are in the modern world and you're like, you know what I mean? Everyone listens to this, you've won.
Say that phrase that you say at the beginning of your Instagram stories again.
I made it, you made it.
And he puts that on every single day. And every single day I smile and I look at your story every day if I can, because I like to hear it.
Oh.
I like to hear what you've got to say. You're like the walking philosopher.
But I don't even. Do you know what? I've never watched one back.
No,
you know
and that's really good. It's the moment.
Talk and post.
Yeah.
And I don't even know why. And I fucking, of course, there's ego there as well. But it's like I think it's healed me.
And I think it's connection as well, James.
But I think it's healed me. I think in the last however long, it's healed me even more. It's honestly, and I say this to a few when I'm talking to certain people. When I'm talking, sometimes I'm out and I'm feeding myself medicine.
Yes, you are. Yeah, because you're basically you're being your own best friend, aren't you? With all these sort of philosophical. They're about a minute long, 2 minutes long sometimes. These little philosophical chunks. Which start with gratitude. It's just
and it's exactly start with gratitude, and then everything else will fall from there into place.
And you can see it's absolutely organic.
And some days I don't do it because actually I don't feel like doing it.
Which is that in itself.
So I'm not
going
to bullshit. I'm not going to go on there, and some days I'm like very up, and other days I'm just very normal. You know, but if I'm some days I go on there and I'm like not great, you know, but some days I just don't feel like doing it, and that's, I think, is where I want to be with everything.
Yes, in the moment.
Yeah, because I don't feel like I have to do anything, and so that's one of the workshops we sometimes get men to do, is look at, particularly as men, a question: what do you feel like you have to do as a man?
Yes.
Oh, well, I have to provide. I have to be kind. I have to do this. I have to do that. Okay, so now do the same thing, but what do you choose to do?
Yes. I mean, that alone, and even Zayn has risen to that occasion, haven't you? What do you choose?
I choose to love my family. I choose to provide. I choose to do all these things. The energy shift in that is unbelievable. It takes you from a place of wounded victim to a place of I am a bad motherfucker.
Yeah, it is. It's owning.
I am like fucking warrior going provide for the world because I choose to, because this is I get to do this. I love this. That's the difference. That's where I've got, is like, I choose this life. I choose it now. Whereas when I was young, I hated my life. I hated myself. I hated my family, everything. I wanted to be with a different family. I didn't want my life. That's why I did drugs. That's why I was violent. That's why I did all of the shit I did.
Because you were escaping everything.
Because I hated it. I hated my life.
Why did you hate your life?
Because I was such a victim. Because I was fat. I was little. I was always getting told I was nothing and shit. And I felt that.
You learnt
useless.
that?
Yeah, I felt rubbish at stuff. I've never, ever felt good enough. When I was young, particularly, and that's definitely come over into adult, is I've never felt good enough to be anyone's friend. Like they wouldn't want to be my friend. Ever.